Welcome to the March 10th meeting of this Smith Falls Police Services Board. We'll call it to order and land acknowledgement. On March 10th, 2026, we acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. The land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe. Look at that, I got that one right today. Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contributions in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all of our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. We have a fairly lengthy meeting today, so I'll turn it over to Chief Jody Empey to make a few comments.
I just wanted to let the board know that we had a couple of internal promotions within our service. Sergeant Dan King was promoted to Staff Sergeant. Staff Sergeant King, he's been a almost 21-year member of our police service, as you probably all know him well. Grew up in this community. We're very happy for him, and his goal is to learn about the job of the Deputy Chief and hopes that one day having an opportunity to apply for one of our positions as we look forward to retirement.
In 10 years.
And then we've got Sergeant Brock Woods. Sergeant Woods been with our service since 2013. He came from London Police as an experienced officer. He's got a very calming presence to our leadership. He's a very good mentor for our junior officers. He's one of the instructor trainers for our annual recertification training, as well as he's a drug recognition officer and a breath technician. And so he's always learning, training, taking opportunities, and he certainly is looking forward to his position as a sergeant on the road, supervising our junior team. And then we had two new hires with the board's approval. We've got Hannah Gazdik. She is originally from Romania. She came to Canada with her adoptive parents. She is from the Kingston area. She has worked with troubled youths in the Kingston area. She has a degree in criminology from Nipissing University, as well as she was a special constable in Brockville. So we got to know her a little bit at training because we do a joint in-service training. Well liked and well respected there, so we're happy to have her on our team. Yesterday was their first day. And then we have Ryan Perron. She's from Osgood area. She's young. She just graduated from the Police Foundations program, but very keen. She's volunteered with RCMP and Ottawa Police. So this was from an extensive background check as well as interview process. But what the recruiting team told me was they, when we talked about the lack of applicants from diverse backgrounds and from female candidates, they decided to do this female-only shuttle run, and it went Ontario-wide. So we were able to spread out the net a little bit and get some interest from women that may not have thought about Smith Falls as a career opportunity of choice. So happy to have them both on the team. And then one last remark was our polar plunge that we did this past weekend. Although the weather was a bit nicer in the way of temperature-wise, it was a miserable day with the rain and everything else. So we're very thankful for everybody that supported us. I think we're up to $10,000 that was raised by this community, which is what Sean was saying was a record for the fundraising. And that goes to all the Special Olympic programs across Ontario. It's the charity of choice for the OACP. And there was 5 polar plunges that were going on that day. So certainly was a great turnout, and it was really cold. But we had a good time, and it was always nice to raise money. We've got athletes within our community that compete nationally. One is Trevor Mains. He's a swimmer that's going to nationals this summer. And I happen to be one of the coaches for him for swimming. So he's very excited, and they have a swim meet coming up March 22nd to get ready for the nationals. So we do have a lot of athletes in our area that do compete at a higher level for their programs. And that's it for me.
Chief, could you, I see Deputy Chief Kettle sporting a cast, and was that a sports injury, or can we tell the board? I'll leave it at that. Any
No
amendment?
comment.
I could run up there and
Any amendments to the agenda? Anybody have any amendments to the agenda?
The
Good.
only addition, amendment
No,
I'm
go ahead,
going to
yep.
make is a in-camera issue, not an issue at all. Chris McGuire brought up IT strategy, so I'm not sure what the question he's going to ask, but some of the answers I'd like to provide in camera because it has to do with the security of the firewalls, etc., that I don't want to discuss publicly.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to provide the service with some more detail for moments now.
The March 10th Police Services Board meeting agenda be approved as, that's a motion, be approved as circulated by Andrew, seconded by Sean, all in favor. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and or conflict of interest and general nature thereof. Anybody wishing to disclose any pecuniary interest on the agenda items? Good. And now we're going to go in camera. Personal matters. What's the motion here? Let me find it. That the Police Services Board move in camera at whatever time we're at. And in accordance with Section 44-2-B of the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019. All in favor? Sorry, Sean, Andrew, all in favor? We will probably be about an hour in camera, 45 minutes to an hour. There's a fairly lengthy agenda to be had.
almost double.
They've gone 285 now for the Outlaw Cup in April. They're paying 2.
So do we want to go to Aaron first or then?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay.
Just, we'll see, make sure she's up on the screen.
Town,
And we
So
certainly,
we want to go there first then?
yeah.
Because Sean's aware.
I think it's booked too.
Yeah, schedule
Oh, there
wise
she
at
is.
least.
Aaron, can you hear us?
Use the handicap operator.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I think
Oh,
Oh, there's Aaron.
are you muted?
No, I am not muted.
Needs to be approved or discussed or finalized come November, because even minor hockey.
I'm not muted.
Oh, we got you
You're
now.
not now.
It just takes me looking like I'm going to sing, and then all of a sudden it works, because that would be the most embarrassing thing.
Interval is.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, from the, we just came out of in camera. We're going to change our agenda a little bit here. We have with us Lanark County Interval House Victim Advocate, Victim Advocate Partnership with the Police Services in prevention of IPV, Aaron Lee. Aaron, could you, you're going to give us a little little presentation. Would you mind going ahead with that now, please?
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. Am I able to share my screen?
I think so.
Should be able to. If not, I have it ready to go as well.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, there's a smart looking guy. Holy.
Can you see it now?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Most excellent. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me this morning. I am honored to be here to talk about police services and Lanark County Interval House working to serve. I think it's very important. Oh, it doesn't seem to want to advance the slide. Interesting.
Carrie, can you do that? Or is it...
I've just advanced it. I'll just get Sean to change it so that we're using my screen.
Okay, I'll just stop sharing. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. IT difficulties. I'll get one of my kids to come fix it.
That's what we all need. Isn't that the truth? Well, I'll just keep going, because here we go. Is that okay if I just keep going so that I don't disrupt your meeting too long?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, historically that Lanark County Interval House has been in your community for 47 years. We provide lots of varying services in community, in shelter, through housing options to advance the protection of victims of intimate partner violence, woman abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault, however you'd like to use the language to describe what goes on in communities. It's really important for you to hear from me just how significant it has been in terms of the evolution of our relationship. Because historically, we didn't have a very positive relationship with police services in general. There was always this sense of adversarial kind of relationships. We didn't carry a gun. You all did. You had very specific policies and the law, and we were, kind of loosey-goosey. And there was always this perception, I think, that anti-violence agencies were those men-hating, radical feminist lesbian people who really just thought that all men were bad. And I just want to be clear that that is a myth, and it's kind of funny because people often, when I say it, will chuckle because they know that that is actually their experience, and that is kind of what the rumors were and what people always thought that we were, and in fact, we're not. I think that when you look at this slide that reads, obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off the goal, I think that that's a reality for us. I think that we have to keep our eyes focused on the goal. And I think if you move to the slide that starts with small steps, make big change, over the years, we've created a path to working closer together. It's been about community response. It's been about working closer together by virtue of victims' experience. It's about wanting to end the realities related to IPV. And really, I want to praise the work of the leadership team of the Smiths Falls Police, specifically Chief Empey, because it really starts with leadership. And I want to say there have been a number of officers in the Smiths Falls Police over the years, and a number of people in leadership, including Mark and others. But really, it's important that we talk about leadership because that's where it starts. It's about the leadership, and it's about making sure that we keep victims at the center. And when we look at the priority connections in our strategic planning, whether it's police services and us, police services and other police services in Ontario, the issues of intimate partner violence are at the top in terms of priorities for police services, and they are the center of the work that we do. So naturally, it makes sense that we're working together. It's also really good for us internationally because we've become this place where we've had now three, we've hosted three delegations from Costa Rica, Mexico, and Kazakhstan who were interested in learning about the way that we address intimate partner violence in our community. And the delegation with Kazakhstan, the scope of that delegation was really quite large. It wasn't just advocates, shelter workers, people working in the system. It was police services, Supreme Court, politicians, and advocates. And so it was really great that we were able to include Chief Empey, we were able to include the OPP, and widen our scope of experts that came to the table to host this delegation. And it was really, really significant for us to be able to present the way that we all work together. Not to mention murders and femicides in our community have kept us having to keep our doors open and keep having conversations with each other. I will say again, the Smiths Falls Police Service really responded well to the inquest and the recommendations from the inquest. Chief Empey and her team took it seriously, moved it forward, explored all the recommendations specifically related to police services, and that relationship just continued to evolve. We have several events in our community, so it is helpful when we have police services saying, yes, we want to be engaged. Yes, we want to work together. And let's continue to show that relationship and demonstrate it in the community, which then in fact affects the community members at large who think, wow, they're working together. We can work with them. We have a See It, Name It, Change It campaign. It has been significant in terms of the uptake that it's had locally. Brockville, Lennox and Addington, Kingston, and Ottawa. So all of those mean that our campaign is now available in English and French. And then much to our surprise, Mexico took on the See It, Name It, Change It campaign. And so we now have this campaign, See It, Name It, Change It, in English, French, and Spanish. It is important to know Smiths Falls Police Services is part of all of those pieces. You may not be in Mexico when the announcement happened like I happened to be, but it really represents and reflects on our entire county and the town of Smiths Falls. Most importantly, if we advance the screen, probably two, we should talk about the victim advocate. Now, the Victim Advocate was a program that started as an initiative with the OPP, very quickly included Smiths Falls Police Service. And the Victim Advocate is a victim-centered approach, right, to domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. It's rooted in victims' experiences. We host survivor forums where we actually hear from survivors who tell us what their experience was like, the good, bad, and the ugly. Police services want to know so that they can be informed, and that then informs training, it informs modifying approaches, and it's a really inclusive program. It involves the Smith Falls Police, the OPP, us, Victim Services, the SADV Hospital Program, as well as Victim Witness Assistance Program. It is quite a partnership that has been successful over the last 6 years. And I would like to just shout very proudly about the hard work of Chief MP securing funding to keep that program going, to having our victim advocate in the detachment and welcomed in the detachment, to increase the visibility of the victim advocate in the town of Smiths Falls, and to be working more closely with police to serve greater outcomes for victims. In 2021, this program received the OPP Accolade Award, and we went to General Headquarters to receive that award. As you can imagine, those of you who are in the room who know me, being called by the OPP and asked to come to General Headquarters is not something that I am accustomed to, nor would I generally want to do that for obvious reasons as a provincial advocate. But we did go, and it was a remarkable experience to have our small community be acknowledged for the hard work and the creative program that we've created in the Victim Advocate. How do referrals happen? They happen through police. For the most part, they happen through police. So police attend a DV, an SA, or a human trafficking event. They push the button for victim services, they review the case, and they refer it to the victim advocate. The victim advocate can act as a navigator, can help and support victims to understand the system. What we learned from victims before we created this program was that victims often want to know the answer to why. And police services don't always have the time for that. They're busy trying to gather evidence, catch the bad person, the person who's causing harm. So they don't always have time to answer the why. Why did you separate my children? Why did you do this with my abuser? Why am I being told to do this? And sometimes it's more helpful for victims to increase their experience toward positive outcomes if they have somebody who can ask those questions and has a working relationship and can offer those answers. So the referrals happen through police services. The victim advocate will reach out and call and will assist in whatever way possible. What is a survivor forum? A survivor forum is a forum where we invite survivors who have completed a process, not somebody who's in the middle of a situation. And they are invited, Chief MP, other delegates, OPP members will sit at the table and will hear from those survivors, and they will hear about their experience with the system, with police services, and it is really to inform. It's good. There's lots of positives. There's also some tweaks and some things that could change, but it's really important that we hear from survivors. How do we integrate survivors in training for members? We have a couple of survivors who have become advocates of their own regime, and they will go to police services as per their invitation, and will speak about their experience, will speak about the system, and will speak about how positive it is to have integration in terms of us talking to each other and working better together. What's the impact and what's the feedback from victims? Many victims say that this helped them follow through. One of the things we talk about often is women recanting, or women being fearful of what will happen, what will be the repercussion from their abuser, and how will the services around them keep them safer. And we are hearing positive feedback from victims that this program supports them, keeps them safer, and makes sure that they feel valued and heard. If we advance the slide, it is important to know that as a small community, we have made significant change. The Lanark County County Council, to which Mayor Panko is a member, we were the first to declare intimate partner violence an epidemic. 106, I know on the slide it says 99, we're now at 106 municipalities across Ontario have declared in addition to us, and AMO has passed the declaration. And it really is important that our leadership and our local politicians continue to lead the way in Lanark County and the town of Smith Falls. The See It, Name It, Change It campaign is also something that can be integrated into police services from the perspective of education, from the perspective of tools. See It, Name It, Change It comes from the fact that we had 7 rural Eastern Ontario murders in 2015, 2016. And in 2017, we launched See It, Name It, Change It for the first time. And then we relaunched it in September 2022 in response to the inquest that happened, as well as other murders, including in our own county. So the See It, Name It, Change It concept, in case you haven't heard about it, or maybe you're tired of it, so you could turn your ears off now, really comes from the notion of when we were kids, we all learned about stop, drop, and roll, right? And stop, drop, and roll was, I know you're all smiling and shaking your head because you know stop, drop, and roll. And stop, drop, and roll was a tool. And so if we found ourselves on fire, we knew that we were to stop, drop, and roll to put out that fire. Not many people have used stop, drop, and roll for the purposes that it was designed. But imagine when we were kids, if we would have heard, if you see violence, name violence, and then we can change violence. Imagine what some of the messages that we would have been carrying into our current day, and how we would have amplified the realities of violence in community, whether they're peer violence, bullying, intimate partner violence, whatever the violence is. Imagine had we tried See It, Name It, Change It the same way we did Stop, Drop, and Roll. So it's really important that people know that we have keychains. We have keychains with a QR code on it. You give it to a victim. We've given it to police services so that they can use the QR code, and up pops all kinds of services in our community. We use the community mosaic that sits in Smith Falls beside Town Hall and between Town Hall and the library, and that mosaic is on the keychain. And that mosaic means that it is more confidential. It just looks like a beautiful mosaic. And then when you use the QR code on the other side, it leads you to all the services, including Smith Falls services, victim services, and other programs related to the need for support around ending violence in relationships. See It, Name It, Change It also uniquely has a component related to those who cause harm. Where we try really hard and See It, Name It, Change It to support those who want to identify being people who make poor choices and cause harm, so that we don't shame perpetrators, that we actually try and help them think about and learn how to make different choices. I'm not going to play the video. You can take the time to watch that video if you'd like to. I did send it to you because it's an interesting video, and you will see people from your own community in that video. It's only through meaningful investment that change will happen. You only have to see it in community to know it's working. And I would like to commend the Police Services Board, Chief Empey, and her team, because we have to continue to work alongside and keep victims at the center of our work. And I really feel like we are doing that. We're doing that with purpose. And I think it's really commendable. And I really think it's important for police services to hear the positive things that are happening in community, the way that leadership is changing things, the way that leadership works in conjunction with community members as well as local politicians to really drive the change in the victim experience in our community. And Jody has been very, very successful at securing funds for the Victim Advocate Program, for education for officers, for community-based education, so that we all come together. And it's really been significant, and we look forward to continuing to drive that relationship and continue to make our communities safer. So thank you very, very much. If you have any questions or queries about anything I've shared, please feel welcome to address them directly to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Anybody have any comments, questions? Deputy Chair Banko?
Thanks, Aaron. Great to see you virtually. And thank you for being such a leader globally now, I guess the last number of years, and helping to carry the message and helping change behaviors. It's great to see, I think it's 106 municipalities have now declared IPV as an epidemic across Ontario. What's concerning, there's still 3/4 of Ontario municipalities that have yet to do so, despite the reality that they have received communication asking them to do so. So I think it's that need for, I guess, a repeated effort, continued effort to ensure that someday, I think all 444 municipalities have done so, and the province has done so as well. Question, I guess, I know that we've seen a rise in IPV cases, I think, coming out of the pandemic. I look at a report this month, we've got 26 cases in February compared to 20 in January. It's obviously a huge concern to our community. The See It, Name It, Change It, hopefully that's playing a role in bringing greater awareness and maybe bringing some of this stuff out. What are the challenges that you are seeing today that you may not have been seeing 4 or 5 years ago? Is the world different today, and should we be responding in a different way?
Thank you for the question and for the feedback. Two things. First, I think that we need to reframe the concern related to the increase in calls for service. I think that the increase in calls for service is not a bad problem to have from the perspective that we are seeing less murders. So when we look at the number of femicides, if we look at the year last year, 30% less femicides in the province of Ontario. That's a significant number. So I also want to caution people to know that, yes, we're seeing an increase in calls, but we're seeing a decrease in femicides and murders in our community. And as your member of the Ontario Domestic Violence Death Review Committee, I want you to know that that is significant. So I want to also say that I think that public education, the fact that politicians, police services, local agencies are talking about violence in relationships and validating that experience, that we're going to continue to see an uptake in calls for service, because I think that people are finding their courage through the hard work of many of you in that room and many people far and wide. I think that the challenges, one of the biggest challenges is to understand that there's a significant increase in violence in young relationships at this end of the spectrum, and then senior relationships at the other end of the spectrum. And I think we need to focus some of our energies on combating the way that we have such immediate access to information through the internet and social media, and the impact that that's having on young people in relationships, and especially sexual assault and aggressions that are happening in communities. So challenge for sure, reaching young people and youth around relationships. I think the change in the gender spectrum and the fluidity that's happening in communities also contributes to increased challenges. I think that we know, all of us know, that the risk around suicide and violence for transgender folks is much higher than the risk for non-conforming other folks. I think that the justice system continues to fail victims. I think we've seen that with the outcomes of very public, media-based trials. Excuse me, you just need to Google the mega trial that's happening in Kingston, Ontario right now related to sexual assault, and you will see the system continues to fail. So we continue to try and look at restorative practice and transformative justice as some of the realities of things we have to explore. I think there's a couple of bills, Bill C-16 and Bill C-21, that is also trying to impact violence. And I know this might sound bizarre, but it's not a good idea to move bills into law too quickly without ensuring that you are being informed by community experts, by police services, by victims, by those who are actually having to navigate it. Sometimes they move at a pace that they think that this is a general response to violence. It's not a general response to violence. It's a way to say we're doing something, and the ramifications of that system can be really detrimental to victims. I could go on about a lot of the challenges that I think are existing, but certainly looking at the spectrum and looking at how do we target our aging community, right? Our aging community is growing by 16% in Ontario. I, as a member of the Domestic Violence Death Review Committee, can tell you that I have reviewed many, many cases, and many of those cases involve senior people. We need to get to hospitals. We need to talk about memory loss. We need to talk about escalation in behavior with memory loss, and that they're sudden. We need to recognize that in some of those cases with senior folks, there's been no historical violence. And so everybody just looks at mobility, physical capacity, safety, where they're living, can they afford living at home, but we fail to assess violence into and have that conversation. So I think that the ends of the spectrums, we need to shift our focus to the young people at one end of the spectrum and to our seniors at the other end of the spectrum.
Thanks, Aaron. And I guess seeing the mosaic in front of our library in our town square and the accompanying signage and seeing the billboard, see it, name it, change it. And I think your efforts and your leadership creates a lot of awareness, which hopefully continues to make a difference. So again, thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Any more questions, anybody? No, we're good. Thank you so much, Aaron. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to number 6, correspondence. Item A, February 17, 2026, resolution from the town of Smith Falls, financial relief for municipal police community supporting town of LaSalle resolution. And is that you, Jody?
That's to do with,
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
I can speak to that.
Yeah.
That's just the letter that the town supported the Police Services Board motion regarding the financial relief for municipal police forces. So I just included that in your package so that you know the council supported it.
Okay, we don't have to do anything, but council has already supported it.
Just for your information.
Closed, okay, perfect. Letter to the Premier and Minister of, sorry, were you done, Carrie? Oh, sorry, okay, no good. Didn't want to cut you off. Letter to Premier and Minister of Transportation, re the province-wide regulatory framework for rideshare programs. Whose topic is this? Carrie again?
I can just introduce it, but I'm sure Mayor Panko has more to say.
Okay.
This was, I put this on the agenda simply as a follow-up to a resolution that the Police Services Board passed probably, I think, in January regarding the town looking at refreshing their taxi bylaw. And one of them was to include the rideshare provisions. So I'll let Mayor Panko take it from there, just so you know where it was coming from.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, our MP John Jordan is taking a little bit of a leadership position on this and recognizing that there is probably a need for provincial-wide governance and regulations regarding rideshare programs. We've added our support to this initiative, and hopefully it helps make a difference.
The taxi system's not quite the way it was 25 years ago or whenever we wrote our bylaws, so obviously it needs changing for sure. Okay, we'll look forward to hearing more about that. February 19th, 2026, email from Kelly Denham, redisclosure of policies, bylaws, directives, or governance documents of the board. I will let Deputy Chair Panko respond to this, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure, thank you. So the board has a number of policies, and I went through the policies really to identify which ones I think would be related to the questions and concerns raised by Ms. Denham. As the board is aware, we are in the process of updating our policies to make sure they are current with a new CSPA. We have hired a consultant. This has been under the works for a number of months, and we expect to have probably the new policies, I would say, in place and approved hopefully by mid-year. But in the meantime, the existing policies do stand. And so I have prepared copies of a number of policies that I believe are relevant to the situation, including prisoner care and control, prisoner transportation, administration and infrastructure for communicable diseases, as well as police response to persons who are emotionally disturbed or have a mental illness or a developmental disability. So a copy of these policies I will leave maybe here at reception town hall if Ms. Denham would like to pick them up.
Could we send those electronically to her, Carrie, if you wouldn't mind? Okay. And any questions, concerns, comments on that? Perfect. Let's move approval of the minutes. Recommended motion that the February 10th, 2026 Police Services Board meeting minutes to be, I looked at February 10th and I said, no, we're at March 10th, but the March and February dates line up. That's just, unless it's a leap year, don't worry about that. Board meeting minutes to be approved as circulated. Anybody would like to make the motion? Deputy Chair Panko, second. Andrew Howard, all in favor? Carried. New business, Leonard County Interval House. Sorry, Aaron, we've already, we've heard from Aaron that we moved that ahead on the agenda because she was lined up to go. Town's IT strategy, Chris McGuire, Councillor McGuire.
Yeah, we moved that in camera.
We moved that in camera because there was some sensitive nature to it. Item C, budget 2026 and budget 2026. Okay.
2025, 2026.
Okay,
Unfortunately, it has to be deferred. I don't have any information from town. They hired a new deputy treasurer, and I think he's swamped. He knows about our meeting, but I still, as of yet, not received the budget for 2025, 2026. But obviously, knowing both budgets, we are under budget still for 2025. 2026, we're going along fine. Well, obviously, we're just in the beginning parts of it. There has to be, we've had some maintenance that had to be done to the building. That continues on, replace some lighting and just some health and safety things that we had to do internally in the building. Other than that, there hasn't been anything major to report about the budget. So as soon as I receive it from the town, I'll send it out to the board.
Okay.
And just for our annual report too, that'll be done in April. So the full budget will be captured in 2025. That's what they're working on now, is finalizing 2025 budget too. So they've got a lot going on in the town.
Operational report, as Deputy Chief Kettle is coming up here, hobbling up. I've got to let everybody know that he had a major sports accident. He was at Mount Tremblant on a double black diamond, and it's got a 100-foot vertical drop, and he broke his foot.
If only. It's a great story. Thank you very much, Board Chair. We ready to go?
We are.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll get through this too. It's been a lengthy meeting as usual, but just something I'd like to highlight is normal each month. February, although a shorter month, was nonetheless busy for our folks at the service. Calls for service were 526 total, which was down from 563 in January. Our overall charges, we had 60 criminal charges laid in February, stemming from 30 arrests. Breach-related charges, we had 29 total breach-related charges, so that represented 48% of the 60 total charges that were laid for February. As discussed earlier by Vice Chair Panko, our IPV cases fortunately are at 26, which did show an increase from January of 20. Our assaults were at 5. We had 4 family disputes, 10 bail violation incidents, 2 break and enters, 3 mischief investigations, and 6 harassment investigations. For our mental health, we're busy with mental health Act incidents as well. As you can see, we had 37 mental health related calls for service, which was up from 29 in January. We showed 6 apprehensions. 2 of those were actual arrests under the Mental Health Act, and 4 were voluntary transports to the hospital. Hospital wait times ranged anywhere from 15 minutes to 5.5 hours for some of the apprehensions. And we had our mobile crisis response team nurses attend at 10 of the 37 calls with us. Our proactive policing for February, we registered 12 hours of foot patrol, with 30 hours of school visits and 45 hours of community service related events. And obviously no bike patrol just yet. Hopefully that changes shortly. Traffic enforcement for February, we had 24 collisions in total. You can see the breakdown there on the chart. Out of those collisions, there were 5 Highway Traffic Act charges issued. We had 98 vehicle stops registered by our officers, and 46 of those charges resulted in 79 HDA charges being laid. And we had 11 charges issued under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. Continue to do great work our officers do on the proactive stops, just out and about on patrol and making those proactive stops when they see some things that catch their attention. We had 7 charges laid as a result of those stops. We had operation while impaired and over 80, flight from police, dangerous operation of a motor vehicle, and operation of a motor vehicle while prohibited, 3 incidents of that. Our strategic enforcement traffic priority for February was winter driving safety, which includes the offenses of speeding, follow too closely, obstructed view, things of that nature. There were 21 charges issued related directly to that STEP initiative. And again, I'd like to address this on each one. Our impaired driving continues to remain to be a focus for us, kind of with our enhanced capability for proactive patrol. And as of February, we're at 7 breath tests that have been conducted in 2026, which has resulted in 6 persons being charged with impaired driving. The STEP target for March is going to be intersection safety, which includes stop sign violations, improper turns, traffic light infractions, fail to yield, incidents such as that. Our top traffic enforcers in February were Constables Sly, Robideau, and Ben Keogan. Criminal Investigations Branch report. We continue to be, obviously, as I say, every month involved with the Bertram and Thompson homicide files that are ongoing. One of our officers, our detectives, is involved in a sexual assault investigation involving a child. We have a significant identity fraud investigation ongoing regarding vehicle loans and fraudulent activity surrounding that. We had a historical intimate partner violence case come to our attention, and it's being looked into and charges are expected. Our detectives have been busy writing production orders related to a significant fraud file. We've been assigned, our detective unit's been assigned to a child abuse investigation, and they're working collaboratively right now with CHEO and CAS agencies in both Lanark and Ottawa. So that's a concerning case, but we're well embedded in there, and there's some great collaboration between those partners, and it's moving ahead. Our officers assist again in Aquay Police with the Friday the 13th Outlaw Motorcycle Gang event. The Outlaws Motorcycle Gang has an event every Friday the 13th down again in Aquay, and just due to the volume and the amount of people that show up to that, again, Aquay always seeks our assistance in Brockville and Kingston, some areas, so we're always happy to go down and participate.
Is there another one this Friday then?
There is, yeah. I think there's 3 this year.
Oh, sure.
So just the way the
Are
calendar
we
falls.
helping out?
Yes, we're sending 2 more down. We sent 4 down this time, and we're sending 2 down for this one. So. One of our detectives was involved with the Covert Operations Handlers training course, and you can see there's we continue to get ongoing intelligence for our criminal intelligence analyst position, gathering information and things related to drug trafficking activities and other criminal ventures in the town. The report from the Community Services Officer, Constable Sean Keogan. As always, he's conducted numerous school visits throughout the month. It's normal practice for him. They've conducted practice lockdown drills, which they continue to do. This month they were at CHEMO, Duncan J, and SFDCI. Was present at the job fair presentation at St. John's High School. Attended the Van Horn Manor Nursing Home to provide information regarding to Project Lifesaver, which I'm going to touch on towards the end of my presentation. Again, involved in meetings such as situation table, filter 4 meetings, polar plunge planning meeting, which was, we've heard earlier, was a major success. Continues to be involved in a lot of media relations efforts. I think 4 interviews with Lake 88 and 1 appearance on your TV. And training. John's also one of our training officers in traffic instruction with LiDAR and radar, and was busy this month, and he's got 10 of our new officers all compliant and certified to go on radar and LiDAR. So expect more traffic enforcement. Courses and workshops. Those are the ones you can see up there, and I just want to address for we were talking about the act earlier a little bit, and about training compliance, and the new act, the CSPA has ensured that officers and police services become compliant in a lot of the core training courses like domestic violence, sexual assault, mental health training, things like that. Just as I look back, as I was preparing a report for our annual plan, just for the board's awareness. So in 2025, we were able to secure 45 registrations for various courses and related to policing endeavors, which is fairly significant. We're doing the same this year too. We're trying to get our officers the best training courses they can in a timely fashion to ensure that we remain compliant and on top of what's going on out there in the policing world. So, but until I actually saw the figure of all the courses, I thought it was fairly significant for the 2025, and we'll continue to build on that too. So, criminal records checks there, stats as we always put in. I just want to touch briefly on Project Lifesaver. I know last month I talked about the CamSafe program that we're trying to push out to the community. This is another venture that we're taking on to help us be able to respond to wandering person situations, people with Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that. Lever and Lee spoke about it best, that our population is aging, and we are starting to see an increase in those types of calls, just given our demographic and stuff with the aging population and some of the ailments that they may have. So we've entered into an engagement with the Project Lifesaver, which is driven through the Alzheimer's Society. And as you can see, it's a premier search and rescue program operating internationally. It's specifically designed for at-risk individuals who are prone to life-threatening behaviors during wandering situations.
Andrew?
Yeah.
So, just a quick question on that. How is this rolled out in the community?
So for the community, and I'm going to get to actually, I think it's a couple slides in, so you're ahead of me. So anyways, what it is, it's basically a tracking device that is worn by the individual. Usually it's a watch-sized bracelet, and emits a unique FM frequency unique to that device. And the police are trained with the equipment that we have that actually can track that signal, that frequency signal. And it doesn't operate like a GPS where, if you have a phone and it doesn't work in a building or a tunnel, because it's a FM frequency. It can work in tunnels, and so it's a lot more accurate and available for us to be able to pick up on that signal. They're saying now through Project Lifesaver statistics that average time to locate a missing person is 30 minutes with the properly trained, who are utilizing the equipment and the officers that are trained. So it's fairly unique. So to Mr. Howard's question, how does it work? So if you have a family member, and we're going to be getting a lot more media out on this to our community. If you have a family member or someone that you feel would be beneficial to be registered with us under the Vulnerable Persons Registry, we encourage you to do that. We create a registry at the office, set it up with Alzheimer's Society as well. That person's given that frequency. We log the frequency in our in-house database. If we get the call that somebody's missing, we can pull that information up quickly, tune in the frequency to our equipment, and we'll send out the trained searchers to go and try and locate that person, track them down. So really, it's really dependent on the families and stuff recognizing that they have somebody that might be vulnerable, with autism or dementia or Alzheimer's. Yeah, go ahead.
So sorry, and it's a voluntary.
Voluntary, absolutely, yes, yeah, and we're just trying to encourage people to do that. If you do have a concern for somebody, that's why we're trying to get out to the nursing homes and stuff like that too, to kind of.
I think Andrew's concerned that his wife's going to subscribe to that program. That's what I think where he's heading.
Yeah. If she wants to find them. so that we're gonna get some more media attention out for that, and it's a great program. We feel it's a great way for us to be able to be on the kind of the front lines of trying to make our community safer and help those because we recognize that there is an aging demographic here, even in town. So
I believe there was an incident at Broadview not too long ago where I don't know, did they have the device on or no?
No, we haven't rolled it.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we're just in the front phases of this, trying to get our officers trained. Sean Keogan's becoming a train the trainer. That's the next course that's coming up very shortly, and then he's going to be able to train a bunch of our officers. We already have the equipment. Alzheimer's has provided us with the frequency monitors and stuff too. We just need the training, and then we can deploy.
That's an example of why we need that right there.
Absolutely, 100%. So really, really valuable program that we're happy to be on the front edge with and collaborate with Alzheimer's and the Project Lifesaver community. So anyway, I just want to touch on that, and I did leave the CamSafe material in there just for review. I know I covered it off a little more in depth last week, but that's another thing that we're really trying to get voluntary compliance with people and businesses and residents around town to register, go down on the website, register their cameras and stuff, and help us build that database. So unless there's any questions, that's my February report.
Just a couple of quick comments.
Sure.
I think you got to go back to even what Aaron said. We probably don't acknowledge enough the work that you folks have done behind the scenes to get a lot of these grants that have really affected the community, from mental health to even stuff with this Alzheimer's. And plus, we sit each week and we read and listen to what's going on, and the proactive policing that's going on in our community. I think your staff needs to be commended for what they're doing out there. And we probably don't say it enough, but it was more for me the work that's been done, not only for the force, but for things like Aaron that are just doing a better job all around, not just with policing, but all the factions that are involved in it. So I think it's a kudos to your staff for the work that's being done there proactively behind. I know it's expensive and I know it's around, but it's something I think we need to be proud of.
Well said, Rob. Anybody, is that it, Rob? Yep.
Yeah, that's all.
So you're done skiing for the year then?
Yeah, before I even started. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Deputy
you very
Chief Kettle. I think that concludes our meeting for today. The date and time of the next meeting will be April the 14th at our regular 8 o'clock in the morning. Do you have anything you want to add, Chief?
No.
Okay. Recommended motion by Andrew, seconded by Chris McGuire, that the Police Services Board adjourned its proceeding at 10:04 a.m. and stands so adjourned until the next duly called committee meeting. Thank you, everyone.